It's finally happened. Nintendo has officially revealed the Switch 2, so you know what we gotta do, right? Whoa, it's been a while since I've seen this. But we gotta take it out! Welcome to Mike Techs It Out. I'm Mike, and I have, probably like you, been waiting for a long time for this Switch 2 announcement. So if you follow my channel and my weekly news videos, or even the shorts, then you'll probably know that there have been a lot of leaks that have come out about the Switch 2 over the past few months. But just to do a quick recap, based on the leaks, we knew that it would have a larger 8-inch screen, magnetically attaching Joy-Cons, 2 USB-C ports, one at the top and one at the bottom, and last week we found out that it would support microSD Express cards, which are faster than normal microSD cards, and Nintendo themselves confirmed that it would be backwards compatible with Switch 1 games, but they hadn't specified if it would just be digital or if it would be physical and digital games. And on top of all that, there have been a bunch of renders that got out there of the actual system. Dbrand and some other accessory makers have also announced and shown cases for the system, and last week the news media went crazy because an accessory maker, Genki, bought a Switch 2 mockup to CES, which finally got Nintendo to respond and say, hey, we didn't provide them any official hardware or specs. So yeah, the leaks were out of control, and Nintendo responding was surprising because when it comes to leaks, they just mostly ignore it or pretend to ignore it to the public. Well, today, as in January 16th, they put out the first official trailer or first look at the Nintendo Switch 2, which is the official name, by the way. Previously, they referred to it as the Nintendo Switch successor, but after the whole Wii U naming thing, I don't think that they were going to take a chance with some weird name, although the Super Nintendo Switch would have been a really cool name. So the trailer starts off with a regular Switch, and then it basically transforms into the Switch 2. They obviously did this so they could show the differences between the two systems because it looks a lot like the current Switch. Now, of course, it didn't give out any dimensions or specs, but considering when the Joy-Cons transformed, they got taller, you could already tell that it was going to have, or at least assume that it was going to have the larger 8-inch screen that was rumored. You also see the 2 USB-C ports, one at the top and one at the bottom, and the new mechanism for attaching the Joy-Cons, which, considering that they don't have the rails, we'll assume that it's magnetic, as the rumors pointed out. And speaking of the Joy-Cons, it seems like it has more of a protective layer around the base of the thumbsticks. Now, this is probably to prevent dust from getting in the sticks, which was one of the things that contributed to the stick drift with the Joy-Cons from the Switch 1. I also like the design on the wrist strap attachment way better than the Switch 1's. And overall, with the mechanism, whether it's magnetic or not, I'm really hoping it's a lot easier to attach and detach from the system, and especially from the little attachment with the wrist straps, because that was a pain with the old Joy-Con rail system. Now, there is one thing that wasn't addressed with the Joy-Cons, and that's the mystery button under the home button on the right Joy-Con. That was also pointed out in the leaks. We still don't know what that does, but I guess we'll have to wait for the full reveal to find out. Now, as far as the console itself, the one thing that looks way better right away is the kickstand. It's closer to the Switch OLEDs, but it's open in the back instead of it being one solid piece like on the OLED. It can also go pretty flat, similar to the OLED again, which is nice, and I'm sure the functionality is overall just going to be similar to that kickstand. Anything is better than the original Switch kickstand. It kicked, but the stand part was only by name. As far as materials, the console itself looks plastic, which is fine. The OLED was metal and that had a nice feel to it, but obviously this is going to be their entry-level console, and maybe they'll have another OLED down the line that's metal again, but that one looks fine out of the box. I also do like the launching with the black color with the accents. I think that looks really nice. The different color controllers on the launch model of the Switch, especially with the blue and red, it looked kind of tacky at first. It grew on me over time, but I think this looks way nicer. But outside of that, the buttons on the Joy-Cons and the buttons on the system look very similar to the Switch one. It very much just looks like a bigger version of the Switch. The docking station and the Joy-Con grip also look very similar to the Switch ones. The only difference that can be seen with the dock is it has the rounded edges instead of the squared off ones, or more squared off ones like the Switch 1 had. So yeah, it's basically a bigger Switch with a better design, which is fine because the Switch was already good. It needed some improvements, which the main ones were the way the Joy-Con connected. The rail system was kind of annoying. And the kickstand, which again was fixed in the OLED model, but never in the original. Now, at the end of the trailer, we did get a little glimpse of gameplay with an unnamed Mario Kart game, but the environment looks more realistic. It was obviously a little teaser to show what they could do with the system, but they could have also done that before with the Switch. I don't think the graphics were like that groundbreaking as far as the way that it looked, but it was fine. It was just a little teaser. I just hope that this is actually a new Mario Kart and not another Mario Kart 8. Please let that game just rest in peace. It survived 2 generations already. Now, if they reveal this game and it's Mario Kart 8 Double Deluxe, then I quit. I'm done. Now, aside from the actual gameplay, we do get a look at the bezels, and they're pretty big, which lines up with the other rumor that the system was going to go back to an LCD display and not OLED at launch. The OLED model of the Switch 1 had slimmer bezels, and these bezels on the Switch 2, while not as big as the regular Switch, they're still pretty big for a modern device. I think it's fine if they don't launch with the OLED model, but I'm hoping that they'll have one again down the line because it was really nice. Now, the last panel of the video, we get the actual size comparison with the regular Switch, and yeah, it is quite a bit bigger. But the most important thing from that last part of the video is that they confirmed both physical and digital games will be backwards compatible, but they said some games won't work and they'll have more information about it on their website at a later date. They also announced that they would have a direct with more information on April 2nd and several hands-on events around the world shortly after that. That's kind of a long time to wait for more detail. I'm really wondering if they pushed the release of this trailer sooner than they planned because of all the leaks that got out there and accessory makers getting out there with their cases and kind of showing off the cases with the system. It's kind of weird to be like, okay, here's the whole system, here's how it looks. All right, see you in 2.5 months. A couple of weeks ago, I covered a story where analyst Serkan Toto speculated that they would push the announcement due to the leaks. So I'm wondering if that's what actually happened. But my thoughts so far with the reveal trailer, I think it was a good trailer, especially to show the differences between the hardware of the Switch 1 and Switch 2 and give a little peek at gameplay. Now, if you have been following the leaks that came out recently, it's not really surprising. The leaks are basically spot on when it comes to the hardware. So personally, I'm more interested in the launch lineup and to see gameplay. It's also rumored it's going to have some kind of AI upscaling, either developed by Nintendo or they're going to use NVIDIA's DLSS. And I'm also wondering if we'll finally get stuff like HDR and 4K, things that kind of became standard during the previous generation of consoles that Nintendo, they basically ignored. But I guess we'll find out more in 2.5 months. But let me know what you thought of the reveal trailer down in the comments. If you haven't seen it, it's linked in the description. Go check it out. I'll see you on Sunday. But until then, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to tell a friend, tell a coworker, like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification to be notified when I drop a video or a live stream. And always do at least 2 things at the same time.